Before the late 1950s, everything we knew about the solar system came from what we could see using ground-based telescopes. But that all changed in 1959 with the launch of Luna 1, the first spacecraft to fly by the Moon. Only 2 years later, the first human, Yuri Gagarin, successfully orbited the Earth, kickstarting the era of human space travel. And since then, we have launched hundreds of spacecraft designed to discover the wonders of the solar system. In a reasonably short time, space exploration has delivered stunning accomplishment after stunning accomplishment. It was only in 1962 that NASA managed to successfully fly a spacecraft called Mariner 2 past our hellish neighbour, Venus, for the first time. Now, we have seen magnificent high-resolution photos of distant worlds such as Pluto, an object so far away that it takes light 5.5 hours to get there. Each of the 8 major planets in our solar system have been visited at least once since we first began leaving Earth's atmosphere. Our powerful space telescopes have also turned their lens on the solar system, revealing certain mysterious objects without having to make the sometimes decades-long journey to visit them. And so now we can compare the oldest images, the first photos ever snapped of each planet, including Pluto, to the newest, clearest images captured so far. The first ever image from space came long before Sputnik, Neil Armstrong, and the missions named Apollo. In October 1946, a crew of soldiers and scientists strapped a 35mm camera to a V-2 missile and launched it 65 miles or 105 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The team had protected the film in a steel casing, and when the rocket fell back to Earth, humanity got its first glimpse of our planet from space. In the years that followed, the photographs got better and better, slowly revealing more of our blue marble in higher quality and colour. And now, thanks to satellites such as the Himawari 8 weather satellite, anyone with an internet connection can watch Earth from space in real time. The role of Himawari 8 is to provide typhoon, rainstorm, weather forecast and other related reports for Japan, East Asia and the Western Pacific region. But it also allows us to see in colour what our home looks like from 22,000 miles away, which is about 36,000 kilometers away. The satellite takes one photo every 10 minutes, capturing 144 images of our world over the course of a day. And the reason you can't see any stars is because they have been blocked out of view. What you can see, however, if we speed up the footage, is the beautiful motion of the clouds above us, twisting and swirling. The transition of day and night, and the spectacular reflection of the sun's light bouncing off the blue oceans as it passes behind the satellite. In July 1965, exactly 50 years before New Horizons provided the first images of Pluto, Mariner 4 became the first spacecraft to photograph a planet other than Earth. Though the mission also relayed important information about Mars's atmosphere and radiation, it was the photography that got the most attention back on Earth. As you can see, the photo was grainy and ill-defined. A blur of white curving across a black background. It would take months of painstaking analysis to determine what it really showed, eventually revealing thin clouds. But one quick glance gave scientists the most important message of all. From 135 million miles away, which is 217 million kilometers away, this spacecraft, Mariner 4, had sent home the first ever close-up portrait of the red planet Mars. Jump to the last few years, and we have been spoilt with Mars exploration. The most famous mission involved NASA's Perseverance rover, which successfully landed on the red planet in February 2021, capturing incredible footage as it made its way to the red dusty surface. We saw China successfully land the Chang'e rover, a uniquely ambitious mission, as no other nation had ever tried to send an orbiter and rover to Mars on their first attempt. But the most magnificent photography came from the United Arab Emirates Hope orbiter, which captured thousands of stunning images revealing in high-resolution geographical features of our barren neighbour like never before. It showed large shield volcanoes in sharp detail, ice clouds drifting above the planet's southern region, and even managed to capture discrete aurora, similar to the northern lights that can be seen here on Earth. Mariner 10 launched in November 1973 on a mission to research the atmosphere and solar winds of our hellish neighbour, Venus. Planetary scientists had learnt a great deal about Venus from both Earth-based observations and previous American and Soviet spacecraft encounters. Mariner 10's goals at Venus were to not just add to existing knowledge, however, but also beam back the first ever close-up photos of the planet to reveal the structure of its upper atmosphere. Images taken in visible light revealed a featureless orb, bland in colour and with very little cloud detail. But when using ultraviolet filters, the planet suddenly becomes much more interesting to view. Invisible to our eyes, the ultraviolet filter revealed the complexity of the Venusian clouds that rapidly rotate around the mysterious world once every 4 Earth days, concealing its scorched surface. Since Mariner 10, many other spacecraft have visited Venus. 4 of the Soviet Union's Venera probes even managed to capture photos from the surface of the hellish planet. But some of the best, most recent photography came from the Japanese space probe called Akatsuki, which after experiencing some problems, eventually managed to capture many incredible images of our shrouded neighbour. Just like the older image we viewed, these were also captured in ultraviolet wavelengths, allowing us to see the complexity of Venus's atmosphere like never before. After imaging Venus, Mariner 10 used the planet's gravitational pull to slingshot towards Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun. Mercury has always been difficult to observe through a telescope due to its close proximity to the Sun, making it lost in our star's bright glare. But in March 1974, about 7 weeks after its Venus flyby, Mariner 10 became the first ever spacecraft to visit the small, bombarded world. This detailed mosaic reveals Mercury just 6 hours before its closest approach, showing us a world that is very much like our moon. A barren landscape that is covered in basins, deep craters, scarps, ridges, and plains. Over the course of 3 flybys, Mariner 10 captured over 2,800 images of Mercury, becoming one of only 3 spacecraft to visit the solar system's first planet. It was more than 30 years later that the next mission would arrive. In March 2011, NASA's Messenger spacecraft entered into orbit around Mercury for more than 4 years, while collecting groundbreaking data that changed the way we think about the small planet. Messenger globally mapped in high resolution its entire surface, again showing us how barren Mercury really is, but in much greater detail. The third and currently only active mission to Mercury is the ESA and JAXA Bepi-Colombo spacecraft. These photos provide a teaser, if you like, of what we can expect when in late 2025 the probe enters into orbit, attempting to solve many more of Mercury's fascinating mysteries. Launched in March 1972, Pioneer 10 was the first spacecraft to travel through the asteroid belt, and the first to make direct observations and obtain close-up images of Jupiter. Pioneer 10 passed within just 81,000 miles, which is 130,000 kilometers of the cloud tops during its closest encounter, before going on to explore the outer regions of the solar system. Here, the images gradually build up into a very distorted crescent-shaped Jupiter that gradually decreased in size as the spacecraft sped away. The grainy images clearly show the gas giant's magnificent bands of clouds, and even the famous Great Red Spot in a couple of frames. Over the years, many spacecraft have visited Jupiter, including the famous Voyager probes. But the most recent was Juno, a spacecraft designed to peer below its clouds. During its approach, Juno captured this unique time-lapse video of Jupiter and its Galilean moons. The video is made up of a sequence of images that were taken 5 days before the spacecraft arrived, putting Juno more than 3 million miles or 4.8 million kilometers away from the gas giant. The innermost moon is the volcanic world Io, then the icy Europa, the massive Ganymede, and finally the heavily cratered Callisto can be seen orbiting just beyond. In August 2016, Juno successfully completed the first of many orbitable flybys, which are known as perigoves. Since then, it has captured lots of scientific data, including many beautiful photos, such as this picture of Jupiter's poles. This enhanced image gives us a close-up glimpse of Jupiter's magnificent cloud structures that are unlike anywhere else in the solar system. Huge storms are visible, raging in bizarre patterns, and Jupiter's famous brown bands of clouds can be seen circling towards the equator. Once past Jupiter, Pioneer 10 disappeared into the darkness of space, but its twin, Pioneer 11, which was on a different trajectory, went on to visit Saturn, the jewel of the solar system, bringing the first ever close-up photos of the gas giant's famed rings in September 1979. Pioneer 11's path took it through Saturn's outer rings, within 13,000 miles or 21,000 kilometers of the planet's cloud tops, where it discovered 2 new moons, one of which it almost crashed into. This amazingly clear image shows Saturn and its largest moon, Titan, just below. You can see the shadow of Saturn's rings cast across the planet's clouds, and even make out some subtle cloud formations. Just like Juno's primary mission was to explore Jupiter, Saturn also had a dedicated spacecraft called Cassini, which arrived at the ringed planet in June 2004. For 13 years, Cassini completed multiple flybys of the gas giant and its many moons, while beaming back thousands of incredible photographs. This strikingly beautiful photo of Saturn was created using a series of exposures taken by Cassini from about 43 million miles away, which is about 69 million kilometers away. The image contrast and colors have been slightly enhanced so that we can see the finer details of the magnificent planet, such as the subtle color differences within the atmosphere, the structure of its huge bright rings, and its icy moon, Enceladus, which is visible in the top left corner. When it comes to the exploration of Uranus, only one spacecraft has ever made the long journey to visit it, the famous Voyager 2 probe. Voyager 2 passed the mighty Jupiter in July 1979. Then, in August 1981, it passed Saturn. It would take another 4.5 years of travelling through the cold, dark expanse of space, however, before we would get the first close-up glimpse of this mysterious blush blue ice giant. In January 1986, nearly 10 years into its historic mission, Voyager 2 made its closest approach to Uranus, observing the mysterious planet's fascinating features, such as its moons, faint rings, and blush blue atmosphere. Even in this old photo, if you look carefully, you can just about see very faint cloud structures circling the planet. Although we haven't sent a spacecraft to Uranus since Voyager 2, we can still observe it using the powerful Hubble Space Telescope. This photo isn't as crisp as some of the close-ups that we have already seen, due to how far away Uranus is, but we can still see interesting features occurring in the ice giant's atmosphere. Taken in November 2018, Uranus's polar region appears as a bright cap, which is likely caused when the area receives more UV radiation from the Sun. Scientists believe this feature is a result of Uranus's unique rotation. Unlike every other planet in the solar system, Uranus is tipped over almost onto its side, and because of this extreme tilt, during the planet's summer, the Sun shines almost directly onto the North Pole and never sets. Once past Uranus, it took Voyager 2 3.5 years to make its way to the last major planet in the solar system, the large and icy Neptune, arriving in August 1989. Like Uranus, Neptune had never been visited before, and so Voyager 2 would become the first ever spacecraft to pass this distant planet. It captured incredible close-up photos of its deep cobalt blue atmosphere and discovered a great dark spot, a storm big enough to engulf the entire Earth. It also detected a highly active atmosphere, with wind speeds far exceeding 680 miles per hour, or 1,100 kilometers an hour, the fastest winds ever detected in the solar system. Because Neptune has only ever been visited once, the only way we can see a more recent view of the planet is by using a powerful space telescope like Hubble, which took this beautiful photo back in 2018. Hubble's view of Neptune reveals a great dark spot seen at the top of the planet. This enormous feature, however, is the fourth and latest mysterious dark vortex captured by Hubble since 1993. The great dark spot seen by Voyager 2 all those years ago has long since disappeared. Scientists think storms on Neptune follow a pattern of forming, strengthening, and then dissipating over the course of about 2 Earth years or so. In February 1930, the tiny, distant planet Pluto was discovered, taking the solar system from 8 to 9 major planets. For decades, this was the order of the solar system, until in 2006, the International Astronomical Union made a highly controversial decision when it placed Pluto into a new category, making it the first of the dwarf planets. These photographic plates are what Clyde Tombaugh analysed when he discovered Pluto back in 1930. As you can see, Pluto is just a speck that has moved across the sky. But because it was so small compared to other planets, and so far away, no one would know what Pluto looks like until we sent a spacecraft to visit it. Even the best images taken by Hubble, like this one, are too crude to reveal any clear details. But 2006 wasn't just the year that Pluto was controversially recategorized, because it was also the year that NASA launched the New Horizons probe on a mission to visit the distant ice world. In December 2014, New Horizons began its approach to Pluto, sending back incredible photographs that were slowly increasing in quality, gradually revealing new, distinct features, until the spacecraft was close enough to observe a world unlike any other seen so far. This refined, ultra-high-resolution true-colour photo, taken in July 2015, reveals Pluto in all its glory. Finally, Pluto's surface, which people had been wondering about for 85 years, could now be observed. It revealed the dwarf planet's magnificent bright icy terrain, which is made up of canyons and tall, looming mountains. We discovered that Pluto has a heart feature called Sputnik Planitia, and that the world is covered in dramatically different terrains, some smooth, some cratered, and some bumpy. The images captured by New Horizons stunned even the most imaginative researchers and space fans, revealing a mind-boggling diversity and complexity to a world that many believed would just be a frozen object towards the edge of the solar system. Since the first camera was strapped to a rocket and blasted into space, we have seen some truly spectacular views, all thanks to the scientists and engineers who built the spacecraft that were sent out to explore the mysteries of our solar system. But although all 8 of the major planets, and Pluto of course, have already been seen up close, we have only really scratched the surface. There are still many other worlds, like the dwarf planets beyond Pluto in the Kuiper Belt region, that have never been visited. Large complex moons that have only ever been seen from a distance, and of course the planets that have only ever been visited a handful of times. Our solar system still has many more incredible places we can explore, as future spacecraft beam back the first photos for us to marvel at. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.